Met is not, it's not a national gallery. We are not a national museum. We are a museum for the world and about the world.
This time we know there's going to be 81 selected drawings that is going to exhibit in Taiwan.
If we look at this very painting here by Renoir, two young women sitting in front of a piano. So what you can see here is a really outstanding painting.
嗨，大家好，欢迎来到这一期的看板人物，我是主持人方念华。今天我们带您来到纽约，要到的是很多人称为一生必访一次的博物馆——纽约大都会博物馆。很多来过纽约市的观众朋友，就算来过大都会博物馆，或许呢一次两次都没有办法看尽所有你想看的馆藏。这个博物馆其实是位在中央公园里面，有155年的历史，一般都称它叫 The Met。现在我所站的这个长长的阶梯，其实呢跟博物馆里面的典藏一样的出名。您常常可以在美剧当中看见，也经常在1年1度的 Met Gala 慈善晚宴当中，你会看到很多明星在这里，他们展现最有特色的礼服。而今天我们介绍的纽约大都会博物馆的馆藏，将会在今年借展到台湾的故宫博物院。这里是纽约大都会博物馆的大展厅，您可以看到墙面上有2幅巨型的书法作品，是来自台湾的书法艺术家Tongyangzi老师。他挥毫选材的内容分别来自《诗经》还有苏轼的名句，包括了“他山之石，可以攻玉”，以及“行于其所当行，止于其不得不止”。在这里发生，传递了文化上的智慧和人生哲学。这是Tongyangzi在纽约大都会博物馆的第一次大型展览。他向来以独特的书法风格闻名，不仅是文字呈现，更呈现文化和情感的交融。这2幅书法作品也是亚洲艺术家第一次在这个历史悠久的博物馆大展厅展示，对台湾的艺术界来说，具有相当重要的意义。Mr. Hollein, thank you so much for welcoming us in this very beautiful museum. First of all, I'd like to introduce to our audience the debut commission in a major museum of our Taiwanese artist, Tongyangzi. I believe her artistic calligraphy has been reaching many visitors locally or internationally here, thanks to the Met. Would you say her exhibition this time here in the Met truly reflect your dedication to bringing cultural diversity and inspiration to the Met?
I think first and foremost it reflects bringing one of the great artists of our time, Tongyangzi, to a broad audience here in the United States and to the Metropolitan Museum. Tongyangzi is certainly the great, great artist and doyen of calligraphy, and we wanted to make sure that that's been celebrated and recognized here at the Met and also within the United States in a major way. I remember when we commissioned her to do these really gigantic, of course, very powerful pieces for the Great Hall, which is our most majestic space at the museum, where 7 million people go through every year. It was an important statement for sure about bringing more diverse artists, cultures, voices to the Met, but really also it's a gesture of admiration and appreciation for her outstanding artistic practice.
What was the initial thought of you and your curators to invite more Asian artists to present their work here at Met?
The Met has been involved with Asian art from probably the very beginning. Some of our very first objects were Asian objects, were armor from Japan, works from China, and in many other areas. So we've been able to build these areas of our collection that really represent the diversity and the outstanding brilliance of Asian cultures in a really profound way. And we want to continue to celebrate that by not only further improving the way how we display our collections, but by also inviting contemporary artists from these cultures who reflect these cultures and engage with them in a dialogue, an artistic dialogue that is being appreciated here in New York.
有一笔写的不满意，或者有一点点墨迹，都是不太允许的。有的时候一下笔我就知道不对了，马上撕掉，可以做这样的决定。所以不像西画可以用涂料，等它干了再涂再修改。那文字艺术是一气呵成。我们学艺术的来这里是得到很多的一个养分，是很难得的一个机会。因为实在太丰富了，Met的收藏太丰富。这次为大都会选的题目，我想是对话吧。那么对话当然也是对我自己对话，同时也希望跟读者就是对话。
So far, how has been the feedback from most visitors about Tongyangzi's art?
Well, I can say the opening was wonderful and almost like flamboyant in a way that she gave quite a sensation. She gave one of her very rare public interviews. Our theater was filled with fans, basically, of Tongyangzi. And so I think certainly the Taiwanese community here in New York City came out in full force, but really also a much broader audience. So it was a great celebration. And also, I think, a moment of yes, pride, I think deep understanding.
Wow, great. Truly, cultural diversity, art cultural diversity enriches our understanding to the world. And fortunately, in June this year, visitors in Taiwan will have a chance to experience the Lehman family's collections from the Met. From your perspective, what impression the exhibition might leave on our Taiwanese audiences?
This exhibition certainly also is about the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, which was built basically by collectors, by great collections. And one of the greatest, if not the greatest, collection that came to this museum was the Robert Lehman collection. So we have a collector who certainly is a New Yorker who made his fortune here in New York, but who has devoted his life to collecting the arts from the 13th to the late 19th and early 20th century. So we wanted to share some of these outstanding masterpieces, especially in the area of French Impressionism and Post-Impressionism, with our friends and with the audience in Taiwan. I think that that's something that basically allows us to share and also experience in that context the art of Degas, Renoir, Matisse, Cézanne, Pissarro, Bonnard, and so many others in a profoundly impactful way. These are not just some paintings. These are externally masterpieces that Robert Lehman collected and at the end gave to the Metropolitan Museum to be shared with the public forever.
Now we are at the Robert Lehman Wing. Why does the Robert Lehman Wing represent such a significant chapter in the history of donation to the Met?
So on the one way, Robert Lehman was an outstanding collector, and he brought together a collection that actually spans from early Renaissance art to the early 20th century. But he was also an idiosyncratic collector. So if you wanted to come to him, I mean, it was all displayed in his home. And so when he gifted this collection to the Met in 1969, he made sure that we basically reproduce the environment, how these works have been shown in his place. So when you come to the Robert Lehman Wing at the Met, you basically almost like wander around in a classical New York mansion. And only very rarely, with very few exceptions, are we allowed even to lend these works to another place. So this is so these outstanding paintings coming to the National Palace Museum is an enormous exception, because normally these works need to be here, they need to be on site, and they need to be able to be experienced in exactly the surroundings that Robert Lehman lived with them for his entire life.
This time we know there's gonna be 81 selected drawings that is going to exhibited in Taiwan. So would you please seize the opportunity and highlight one or two pieces for our audience to offer your insight in order to deepen our appreciation?
Indeed, this is a presentation that includes the great masters of French Impressionism and Post-Impressionism, mainly paintings, also some really delicate drawings and pastels by Degas, for example. And so we wanted to make sure that this is really a broad range of works that show you also the development of French Impressionism, how that kind of came about and how it was really kind of then developing during time. One must not forget that when the French Impressionists started to work partly together in the beginning of the 1870s. These were basically the revolutionaries, the renegades. They were going against the existing system, against the Salon with its academic drawings, with its paintings of history, of glory, of fame. So the Impressionists wanted to show the real life, nature, domestic life as they know it. So it was not only a new way of painting, it was also a new way of seeing life, representing life, and also showing that environment. So you will have fantastic, beautiful imagery of nature. Think about the great Van Gogh that will come to Taiwan, which is his orchard painting. So Van Gogh painted orchards quite often. But this one is a really special one that's coming, because it not only has a kind of a very expressive quality, but also it shows some of the objects of how humans actually nurture nature. So you see a rake and a kite, so how you see even like remnants of human interaction with nature. Or if we look at this very painting here by Renoir, two young women girls sitting in front of a piano. So what you can see here is a really outstanding painting that basically shows Renoir using a very common theme, which is kind of women playing on an instrument, but he sets it in a very different setting. So it's kind of revolutionary. It's a domestic setting. It's beautiful in its coloring, in its brushstrokes. Renoir did a couple of these versions, and this for sure, the one that Robert Lehman acquired, is the very best version of this very important motif by Renoir. And it's also important as a painting in Impressionism because the Impressionists and also Renoir were basically always refused. They exhibited at the Salon des Refusés. They were never officially kind of accepted. Really? This painting was the first painting that the French ministry commissioned in, I think, 1891. Wow. So they asked Renoir to make this painting for the Musée de Luxembourg, then the famous museum in Paris. So it shows you exactly the moment, the threshold, where the Impressionists became accepted. Yeah, right. Yeah.
But that's in his late life, right?
It is a later Renoir. It's, I would say, from his best phase. So I think it's one of the great, iconic, and beautiful, and really heartwarming Renoirs that you can have.
Yeah, just seeing this drawing just made me feel pleasure.
It's joyful. I think it's heartwarming. It brings you into a domestic scene. That's also what the Impressionists were basically, on the one hand, depicting nature. So they were going out in the open, trying to show nature. But they also wanted to show their own life, their own domestic life, how they and their families lived, stayed together, what they did together. And so I think that's a big difference to what other artists during that time did, who were still painting out the glories of history or had kind of religious paintings. So this was painting about real life, about real people in kind of concert with each other.
Except Impressionism, I also knew that Robert Lehman Wing has been a leading role of understanding resonance culture. Can you share with us, for example, why the 700-old master drawing here sparked interest of Europe's 14th to 15th, maybe 16th century?
Well, I think Robert Lehman was a great connoisseur and admirer of the development of certainly European arts. Every artist looks backwards. They look back to, like a Renoir looks back at how Titian painted. A Renoir sees the brushstrokes of a Tintoretto. A Renoir sees a late Rembrandt. And it has an influence. So I think that to understand the art of your time, you should also understand the art of the past. And Robert Lehman created almost like a continuum in regard to his collection from around 1300 to the early 20th century.
So it's such a close connection between art and history.
It's a close connection between art and history. It's also a deep understanding about the different, almost like media of the arts coming together. So it's painting, it's drawing, it's sculpture, it's ceramics, it's coins, it's many other ways. So there are so many different ways of artistic expression, and often artists basically produce in all of these medium at the same time. And that's what makes, again, this exhibition, I think, special, because you have outstanding paintings, but also beautiful drawings, and sometimes the drawing stands for itself. Sometimes it's a preparatory drawing where we know the painting, but often drawing is often the most direct and probably sometimes even the most impulsive way of depicting something that you see, that you have in your head, and that you want to share with others.
When we talk about history, among the 1.5 million objects in the Met, some are required, while others from donation. How did the Lehman brothers, Lehman family, distinguish themselves among donors, patrons, and even trustees from 1844 to 1975?
Well, the Met was built basically on philanthropy. So this institution is 155 years old. At the beginning of its founding, when this museum was founded, we had zero, no artwork. We had no building. We had actually no money, but only the idea that this should become a big museum. So many, many people, New Yorkers, but also people from around the world, helped build this institution, the museum, the Metropolitan Museum of Art here in New York City, through their donations. To the donation of money, but actually also of art. So the Met has received a whole number of great collections, a whole number of great gifts of art. But Robert Lehman's gift was really outstanding and extraordinary because it also represents a lifetime of collecting, a lifetime of exploration, a lifetime also of finding the exactly right pieces for a collection here, in this case in New York City, that should properly reflect the extraordinary artistic achievements in France of the late 19th century.
So what are the guiding principles of the Met when it comes to collecting art, whether from acquisition or from donations?
Well, we want to make sure that we are a universal museum, that we show you the cultures of the world and the development of art through history, through time, and around the globe. So I think our principles are to make sure that we are not only culturally sensitive, but that we are also culturally respectful of all the different ways of how art has developed over the centuries, and so that we are able to show the artistic achievements of each region, of each area, of each country in a way that basically tells a story about that development, but actually also connects it with the development happening sometimes simultaneously all around the world. So in a certain way, we are always in exploration of finding further links between these developments, and also, of course, making sure that we have the iconic works that really represent the most outstanding artistic achievements.
So this is a museum, not galleries.
No, this is a museum. Everything that's here is meant to stay. We are a repository, a custodian for culture and for art, and we are sharing it with millions and millions of visitors, and also accessible for people from all around the world through our digital platforms.
Mr. Hollein, one of your college major is art history. As we mentioned earlier, that most collections from the Robert Lehman wing reflect resonance culture. So I would like to hear your advice for our visitors in Taiwan. Would you suggest them that they had better equipped with certain historical knowledge before attendance, or you would encourage them, just come and see what the works speak to you at the first time, and then come again?
I think the beauty of Impressionist paintings is that you can immerse yourself in it, in the beauty of it, in the atmosphere, in the attraction of it, without any previous knowledge, right? I think that's also what makes the Impressionists so attractive, and I think also so beloved all around the world. And then if you're interested in his works, if you are interested in some of the artist's life, you will learn more. You will learn and understand more. You will suddenly see, yes, this Van Gogh orchard that I love seeing, it's about nature, but of course it's influenced by Japanese prints. So to see layers and layers of information will open up for you. You can still appreciate the art without it, but you will have a richer and maybe even a more enriching experience by knowing more, understanding more, and that's what certainly also our catalog will do. That's what a lot of information will do, and it's basically, I think, also should be a trigger for you to kind of learn more, see more, come back more, come back to see the exhibition often, and maybe come to the Metropolitan Museum in New York to see more of it.
Well, international exhibition often foster mutual cultural understanding. With your experience, how has the Met learned from hosting overseas exhibition and benefit the museum itself in the long run?
Well, I think for us, this is, on the one hand, an opportunity to share and to be an institution that makes sure that other audiences around the world, and in this case in Taipei, can see some of these works. But it is also an invitation for dialogue. It is an ability to be connected, to kind of learn more as colleagues from each other, to kind of foster collaborations and exchange.
So what is your expectation for the upcoming exhibition in Taiwan this year?
I think that it will generate, I hope, excitement. It will generate interest. It will generate probably also a deeper understanding on French Impressionism. It will generate a deeper understanding for sure probably about Robert Lehman as not so much only about his person, but it's more about this symbolic individual who is typical for, I would say, an entrepreneur of the 20th century, a successful businessman who then devotes his life to the arts, and then decides that this all should be shared with the public. So it's not collecting for your own benefit, but really for the public to appreciate it. So there's a deep philanthropic spirit that is embedded in it. I think that that's something that we need to appreciate and that we can learn and emulate from our not only institutions in New York, but really institutions around the world.
嗨，观众朋友，现在带您来到这个地方，你会觉得非常的特别。为什么？因为我们一般去大型的博物馆，像大都会博物馆或者是美术馆，大概您的参观习惯都是你要选定进这里要看什么，所以它才会吸引你走进去。好比看蒙娜丽莎的微笑，就是去罗浮宫。很多人来大都会博物馆，第一个要冲的就是梵谷的自画像。会不会到储藏室呢？我要告诉你，在大都会博物馆，你可以到储藏室里面参观。那么这个储藏室它有一个正式的名字，叫 Henry R. Luce Center， 也就是纪念呢创设这个储藏室的人。那么究竟为什么会有这样的一个展览空间？我们一起进来看看。好，进来以后你会发现它是按照物件分门别类排放。这里是人物的油画像，这边呢是我觉得比较古典的瓷器，那这边呢是有瓷器跟陶瓷，往后面看呢是青铜铸的人物塑像跟雕像。来到这里，我首先介绍一下整个大都会博物馆以策展部门来讲有17个，那有3个策展部门有自己的，他们叫什么 Visible Storage Room， 就可供参观的储藏间。这3个分别是我现在所在的美国博物品的策展部门，另外2个，一个是埃及，一个是古希腊罗马，他们所收藏的美国帛品多达23000多件， 有的呢是据接待人员告诉我，他是长久的、永远的都待在这一个储藏室里，所以你要来这里才看得到。或许你会问，既然大都会博物馆有这么多漂亮的厅，有这么多匠心独具、精心布置、华丽的展览空间，为什么要到这个玻璃柜前面来看展品、来看藏品呢？同样的，这也是我的问题。我问了接待人员，他告诉我说，他也很喜欢来这里耶，因为这里的人，你看非常不多，几乎没有游客知道来博物馆可以来看储藏室，所以在这边所有的帛品跟藏品，他们好像脱去了所有的装饰跟包装，你看在这里静静的看每一件文物帛品，悄悄的跟他们对话。另外，这次到台湾的大都会博物馆展览，所有的展品当中有2幅画就是出自美国厅。
We see a very diverse audience, and we look forward to sharing this with more people. We had about 7 million visitors before COVID. We are now at about 6 million visitors.